welcome back to a sunny Isle of Man. On the way, highlights of
ITV4
in the Monster Energy Supersport class. And an opportunity, fellas, after a slight disappointment for Michael Dunlop in the Superbikes, to make up for it in the class that he's really made his own over the last few years, Steve.
Massively, you know, he's been doing a lot of homework, shall we say, Daytona. You know, he's been riding the bike all over. He's spent a lot of time in Spain testing, so he's going to be really good. I think at the moment, probably his most competitive class to be right at the front.
And he certainly has the opportunity to do that on the Ducati.
He does have the chance to do that on Ducati, and that will be, if he does, it will be a 7th win on a different manufacturer for a single rider, which will be another record broken.
Yeah, he's all about breaking records, but the man he's got to beat today looks like beating Dean Harrison. He was fastest in qualifying, so anticipation high then ahead of this one. Let's get out onto the grid and get the thoughts of the riders. And first of all, Lee Johnston, who's with Grace Webb.
Yeah, we are on the grid for Supersport Race number 1, and this has been won the last 6 times by a certain Michael Dunlop. But there's a few others in contention this year. Michael Dunlop, as we know, is on a Ducati, and we are just walking past Dom Herbertson, who is on another Ducati in the top 20. A bit of a rare machine that you see in this class league.
Yeah, obviously with the new rule change, the Ducati and the Triumph are now both allowed in this class. Both bigger capacity engines, but it's all controlled on electronics. Do you want to quickly grab Dom Herbertson?
Oh, there he is,
There
yeah,
he is.
actually.
No, so we can,
If we can grab a word with you, Dom. We were just saying you're on a Ducati, which we don't usually see in this class, but how's it working for you?
Well, I feel like, you know, them little hamsters that they test on. Yeah. That was definitely me last night. I think we turned it upside down and nearly had me upside down a few times. So everything's up from here, Grace. We've been rock bottom. We can definitely go up from here. So, but the bike's got so much potential. You know, it's a 959. It's got all the grunt in the world, and all it wants to do is drive. So we get these things nailed down. We're laughing because I think there's only 4 in this race. So at the moment, if one breaks down, I'm on the podium on the Ducati in my head. So it's little wins, Grace, little wins.
But from your analogy, then, has it been a bit of a handful? What have you managed to test in qualifying?
Well, we've only had the 4 laps in qualifying, and look at what Michael Dunlop's doing on it. You know, he's top of the sheets on that side of things. Connor's getting his dialed in as well. So the potential's there. We just need to get it over the line.
I'm sure you will, Dom. Good luck for this one.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's interesting to get that insight, actually. Like Dom's saying, there's a lot of things that need to be done to the Ducati to get it competitive and get it composed.
Yeah, and it's all well being having a little bit more horsepower and more torque, but as anyone that rides a motorbike, the more torque and power you have, the harder it is to set that motorcycle up. Hence why big bikes around here are so much harder to set up normally than your normal 600cc capacity engine. What we're looking at now, the beautiful Paget Supersport bike of Davy Todd. This is original Supersport 600cc engine. And then obviously further on from that, we've got the Hondas of Jackson Racing as well, and to the other side is Mike Brown's R6. So yeah, these are all what we would class as original Supersport bikes. And then this is going to lead us into the Ducati that Dom Herbertson was just talking about, of Michael Dunlop's, which looks absolutely beautiful. If there was points or speed for looks, I think it would definitely be up there on the charts.
Yeah, for sure. And this is an exact replica of the World Supersport winning bike. This has got some trick bits on it, and like you say, it looks stunning. And this was fast at the Northwest 200 as well.
Yeah, we seen on I think it was the Thursday night race at the Northwest 200, it looked like you just hit a turbo button, but then it's different there. You've got massive slipstream, which helps the Supersport bike a lot more. You see James Hillier's bike in the background, and his team, James I think has been 5th fastest this week, 5th or 6th fastest in qualifying so far, and James is a genuine podium contender in Supersport.
Yeah, we'll see if we can grab a quick word for him, because like we were saying, mixed machines, he's on a Kawasaki, he's just taken a spot in the bus stop, so I'll try and can I catch the bus ride with you, James? How are you feeling for this one, the Bournemouth Kawasaki for the Supersport race? How's it been going in qualifying?
Alright, really. I mean, I've done enough laps on one of these Kawasaki's around here, so we just don't know where to set it. I just couldn't really get the rhythm that first race. I just hope I've had a bit of lunch and a chill out, so we'll see what this brings. But as always, it'll be max effort. And I was just thinking, there's not many races in the world you can sit in a bus stop and get ready for, is there? It's quite random.
Good perfectly positioned for it as well. So glad to hear you're refreshed. We'll let you chill out before this one. Yeah, and like James is alluding to, the TT is just about endurance as well. And if anyone knows about endurance, it's James Hillier, the only TT rider to have completed the Dakar as well as the Isle of Man TT. Let's get to our race commentators, Cam Donald and Andrew Coley.
Second race for the solo riders today as we get Supersport underway. Michael Dunlop slings his leg over the Ducati. Is that the machine to beat around the 37 with 7.3 miles of this incredible course? Smaller bikes in theory, but as you've seen from the Ducati, it's a bigger engine. Myself and Cameron Donald will run you through how the TT equalises the performance between the various different bikes as we get underway. 14 degrees C, a little bit windy out there, but still the sunshine, lovely dry roads, and Paul Jordan gets us underway on the Jackson Racing Honda. Down towards Bray Hill for the first time from the heli. Tap on the shoulder net for Davo Johnson on the Kawasaki. Dean Harrison pulls up to the line on the factory Honda. Love the different launches from everybody. Cam, what's the score of the launches? Some people seem to be flipping the throttle, others you just hear them pin it and away beautifully.
Starting technique is a rider's personal preference, but one thing they all have in common is keeping these bikes on the boil. Maximum revs as they drop the clutch to head off that start line.
Harrison is absolutely on it immediately, isn't he? He's been so strong on the various different bikes during practice week. And here is a man they've all got to beat, Michael Dunlop on the Ducati. This machine is special, Cam.
Listen to the lazy drone of that V2 Ducati, the Milwaukee back bike, firing itself off down the line, and we're all waiting to see what this bike can do around the TT course.
Over the crest at the bottom of the hill, James Hillier into his lap as well. And this is Davey Todd on the Honda. He's swapped away from Ducati machinery, Cam.
Of course, that's right, Andrew. Last year, Davey Todd piloted that Ducati to second place in the first Supersport race. Can Michael turn that around this year?
It's 30 years since Ducati's had a win here, and it would be a 7th different manufacturer ridden by Dunlop to victory if he can do it. But he's got to beat some serious talent in this one, including, of course, Davey Todd, who won earlier on today on the Superbike. So Todd's on form, but different machinery and maybe a bigger ask in this one.
Todd's on a roll, but then Michael's even more fired up after having taken second in that first Superbike race, and we know how much he'll want to make amends for that.
It was such a tiny margin too, wasn't it?
Don the Bomb Herbertson, another Ducati mounted rider.
Listen to that. There are times when words are not enough and you guys just need to listen to the howl at home.
Yeah, that is so different to the inline four-cylinder engine configurations of the competition. It's really sweet to the ear.
Herbertson down to the bottom of Bray Hill, and we are well underway for Supersport Race 1. Welcome back to the Monster Energy Supersport TT. Race number 1, of course, a second one later on in the week. You're looking at Paul Jordan, first on the road on the Honda CBR 600RR through Gorsley, just blowing away those leaves. Oh, Davo Johnson, look, has been caught already by Dean Harrison. Harrison's on a mission, Cam.
Yep, perfect pass up the inside Griever Bridge. That's a committed area to pass there, and he's done well to get past Davo, who's no slouch himself. Dean races this bike week in, week out in the British Supersport Championship. So for Dean, it'll be like putting on an old set of slippers.
Yeah, just comfortable immediately. I mean, that's early in the lap to have closed down that gap. This is Hillier, and this is a special livery, Cam.
Yeah, 30-year anniversary of the ZX6 livery. How cool does that look?
Very cool indeed, going through Gorsley. That lit, that's for sure. And here comes Michael Dunlop on the Ducati. 2 attempts at turning, maybe?
Yeah, we saw a similar thing on the Superbike, but he's done very few dry laps on that bike this week, so probably just coming to terms with it a little bit.
And on board with Davey Todd. We can hear here, Cam, that they're full throttle a lot. Compare that for us to Superbike.
Oh, well, they're a smaller engine, they are higher revving, and with less power you need to just bring that machine's neck that little bit more.
So full throttle for a lot more in terms of percentage of the lap.
Absolutely, a high percentage of the lap. At 100% throttle, you see Paul Jordan make his way up Sarah's Cottage to Jackson Racing Honda, a bike he's very comfortable on.
Harrison leads by 7.8 seconds. He's 7.8 up on Paul Jordan already, and a further 7 up on Davo Johnson. So Harrison is chucking down a mark here. Dean Harrison means it on the factory Honda. He wants the win, and it looks like he's trying to make a break early doors.
Yeah, we're expecting him to come out of the blocks quickly, but it's Michael Dunlop we're waiting to see come past.
Hillier's only 4.5 back, so Hillier's gone well there too.
Very impressive by James, and Michael comes through. P2, 3.4 down on Dino. That's a decent gap for the first sector. Just goes to show how hard Dean Harrison's pushing, as is this man, Davey Todd.
Using so much road on the way in there, Cam, and Todd comes in just 0.4 of a second behind Hillier. So there's only 5 seconds between Dunlop, Hillier and Todd. Dean Harrison 3.5 seconds up the road. Harrison here, full focus. We can often see through his visor, and it is just eyes down, eyes forward, and flat out.
Yeah, and of course these smaller machines, less power. It's even more imperative to keep tucked in behind that screen. Chest on the tank, cutting through the air.
Unbelievable at the bottom of Figaro. Here comes Hillier, on board with Hillier through the same section.
Now through McGuinness's, 150 miles per hour and building. What's he going to reach before Figaro top 160?
Unbelievable through here as well.
Figaro top, only slightly less exciting than Figaro bottom.
Absolutely brilliant. You're on board with Todd now, and the reflective visor there. That shows you all you need to see. You can see on the dash, the LCD display is absolutely at the top, at the peak.
Maxed out. Oh, as is his use of the road there, out onto the curb, even using the white line, and again.
What a place to go and watch, isn't it? It's just so impressive, it really is. Paul Jordan, still first on the road. Surely though being closed down now by Harrison. Harrison must be somewhere near.
Look at that rear facing camera again. Now leaves and debris are flicking up off the tyre. Being first on road, he used the street sweeper.
With a little fun in the background again, over for lap 3.
Nice, big send. This is the man that is on the charge. Wow, he's pulled plus 12 on Paul Jordan. Let's see where James Hillier and Michael Dunlop are when they reach the lap bridge themselves.
150 mile an hour through here. The change in light cam, I think, is quite stark in terms, you know, shade trees all the way through. That's hard to read, I imagine.
Very, very hard to remain focused. Most of these riders are using a big tint because you're in bright sun and then in full shade. Very tricky.
Hillier flying the jump long. Watch Dunlop, he'll land it on the front, and Dunlop 4.6 off Harrison. Hillier now 2 seconds back from there. Here comes Todd.
Yes, we're right on board with Davey Todd, but that gap there, Dean's been able to push so hard in that first sector. Now he runs a Metzler tyre, and they're renowned for being able to get up to temperature quickly. Michael Dunlop on the Dunlop tyre, a little bit slower to reach optimum temperature as Davey Todd, big move under brakes, launches it past Josh Brooks over Black Bridge.
So Todd through on the road. He's free now to have a bit of air in front of him, try and make up some more time. Meanwhile, this is Michael Evans, the Manxman, on the Triumph Triple.
Riding very well this week, Andrew. Really impressive.
Paul Jordan. Jordan's pulled off the side of the road. That is not a well machine. You can tell that. You don't need to be a mechanic to hear that that is not right. On the pavement and park. What a shame.
Oh, what a shame. It's game over for the Jackson Racing Honda. The Supersport Race 1. Look at the amount of debris on the road. We've had high winds. That's another thing these riders will have to contend with. A bit of debris on the road.
Harrison's going to be there first now as well. So, of course, he never had to make his pass in the end. With Jordan pulling off to the side of the road. Harrison free to come through. No time lost in the pass. Look at the fans leaning over the wall. The hedges are absolutely packed. Everyone's been so keen because we've had such rough weather during practice week. Everyone is in the hedges today, out there seeing these guys on the limit.
They're as keen to get involved in the action as the riders. Now look at the body language of Dean Harrison. He is pushing that machine to its absolute limit.
Deep and straight on the brakes there, a bit tight on the line in. Was that because he was later than he expected to be?
He carried a lot of speed up that hill into that corner, probably just went a couple of metres past his optimum apex point.
Here is Todd on the brakes down at Parliament Square. This is where he ran deep earlier on today on the Superbike. No such mistake this time round.
You can see by the body language how hard he's also pushing Andrew. He wants a race result in this class. Fantastic camera view. Look up, look how much he's moving around on the machine as he wrestles it from right to left.
Hanging off the side is just wonderful, isn't it? They are a very special breed indeed. Dunlop now 5 seconds down on Harrison. Hillier a further 4.7 back. Davey Todd just 4/10 off here. So Todd is 4/10 away from a podium position as we stand at the moment. Let's take a look back at that Dunlop jump. Cam, talk us through the technique difference here.
Yeah, Michael chops the throttle as he comes off the up ramp, transferring the weight forward to cause that landing on the front wheel. Where if you open the throttle slightly, positive throttle on the up ramp, you'll land front wheel high.
Fantastic stuff. Harrison is up at the bungalow. 5 seconds, as we said, was the gap. Is that going to continue to grow for the whole of lap 1 as we come towards the point where these riders are coming for their mandatory pit stop? It has to be at the end of lap 1. And we'll talk to you about the fueling and things when we get to the stop shortly. You're on board with Davo Johnson, and that's Dunlop behind. Dunlop will want to try and find a way through into bungalow, the left-hander. So close to the curve, and now up Hailwood Heights. So is he going to try and get through here? He tucks in, pulls out to the right hand side, just drives by Cam.
Doesn't even need to use the slipstream. Michael carries good corner speed, and that's just Caddy's got some grunt.
We've seen the Ducati, we've seen the Triumph that's a triple, and we know the Honda is a 4-cylinder bike. How are they equalising the performance between these different machines?
Well, the Caddy's brought back with throttle position. They're only allowed to use now 79% of their maximum throttle. Last year that was just above 80. It's been reduced slightly for this year in the technical regulations just to keep that playing field as level as possible.
Welcome back to the Monster Energy Supersport TT. Dean Harrison exits Governor's Dip, and you can see there the pit sign flashing. Mandatory pit stop on lap 1. Here we go.
Yeah, so we're down with the Honda guys again. Obviously, with Dean Harrison is about to come in first on the road. The guys have got a spare rear tyre. The option is not to want to change that. That is only if it's going to have a problem with the tyre. So he's going to be straight in, possibly rear stand. Yeah, in with the rear stand, then straight in with the fuel, as that's what's going to take the time in the pit stop. See his crew chief there just reaching for the tear off to get one tear off. He said he only used one tear off in the whole first race, but he's just given him a little bit of information there. 6 seconds over Michael Dunlop, but it's really quick now, so we're going to nip on down the pit lane as Dean heads out and see if we can catch both Michael Dunlop and Davey Todd, because they're going to be heading in just a few slots further up the grid. I seen Michael Dunlop's helmet waiting for him as he came in, and I don't know if that's just a precaution. We can see now that Michael has just pulled into his pit stop now. I would think that this Ducati is taking slightly more fuel than the likes of Dean's CBR 600. He's also making a setting change. He took 1 mil of preload off the forks there. You see the guys in with the adjuster on top of the fork cap. He's not even bothered about the rear stand. That's something I couldn't do because my both feet didn't touch the ground. Really quick pit stop there. He set off, and we're about to now, if you spin around your left hand side, Davey Todd is just about to come in to the pits, so we can just move that guy out of the road. Davey Todd is just about to come into the pits. You see on the ground there, that was the name board the guys had out just to show him where his spot was. Dave's really quickly getting on cleaning the screen, giving him over some information. He's not gone for a tear off or a helmet change, and the same thing just for fuel. Quick drink out of his Monster Energy drinks bottle, and the guys are away. Obviously you can see a little splash of fuel there, that always happens, and when you're doing British Championship and stuff and not used to doing pit stops, it frightens you for the first time, but really good pit stop there from the Padgett guys. But I think all the top 3 or 4 have had good pit stops, so hopefully the racing's going to get made up out on the track.
Super close there. Davo Johnson lost a bit of time, but everybody else with a clean stop. I think what's really interesting there, Cameron, is the fact that there was just a slight settings change for Dunlop mid-race.
Yeah, that's not the standard thing we'd see during a TT pit stop, Andrew. I think it goes to show that he's still finding his feet with that V2 Ducati.
Connor Cummins down onto the pit lane limiter into the pit entrance. Oh, look, Hutchinson is in front of him, so Hutchie's passed Cummins out on course. Cam, you've got 3 laps here. Obviously, you only need half a tank for the first lap. What do? Go out light or go out heavy?
No, full tank of fuel, and then you come in for a splash and dash.
So less time lost with a shorter fuel stop than there is carrying the extra weight, basically.
Absolutely.
There we go. Michael Dunlop on the Ducati, 7.4 seconds down on this man, Dean Harrison, who is absolutely tucked in behind the fairing.
Dean will want this win so badly. Dean's had 31 TT podiums, but just 3 of those have been on the top step. He's desperate for another win, and this has to be one of his best chances of the week.
He's a TT legend, isn't he? He's one of the fast 3. We call that the fast 4 now. Davey Todd's joined, of course. Hickman not here this week, unfortunately. You're on board with Hillier. You can't say anybody isn't fast. 174 miles an hour there at the peak.
Yeah, as you head over Crosby Leap, down towards the Highlander, it's one of the fastest sections of the course.
Harrison sits up once, turns in beautifully, just looks fully confident and comfortable on that machine. This is Davo Johnson again.
Yeah, also looking well on that Kawasaki. Davo tucking in that frame.
Dropped down the order a bit, hasn't he? Thanks to that slower pit stop. 10 seconds lost there. Sees Johnson down just outside the top 10, unfortunately. Dunlop, and the gap's come down, 6.4. So Dunlop then with that slight change on the bike. Is he looking more comfortable?
Well, he certainly appears so, and his speed is building. I wonder how many pit boards that Dean Harrison is getting out in the lead to help control that margin, because it was a healthy one. With 2 laps to go, anything could happen here, Andrew.
Fascinating to hear them in the pits, wasn't it? With your 1.1 up on this, your 7.4 down on that. As much information as they can get without stressing them out at the same time. They need to know, and the pit board's pretty hard to spot. Got to have them at the slow points on the course.
These riders are out there on their own. It's them, their machine, and the course. There's no way of communicating apart from those couple of pit boards that you can get off the hedge, and there's only so much you can relay on a message board.
Josh Brooks looks still tucked right up behind Davey Todd, and we go on board with Ian Hutchinson.
The speed builds. Hutchie coming up towards one of the fastest corners on the course. He's riding well. He's back in the Supersport class, one we've seen him take victory in before. So good seeing him building form in this year's TT.
We're back with Michael Dunlop now from the heli as he heads towards Bagaro. 6.4 is the gap to Harrison. Cam, you mentioned that he runs the Dunlop tyre, which takes a bit more to come in. He's obviously changed the settings on the bike. He's looking very comfortable. Down through here. Fully committed through the bottom of Bagaro as well. Is Harrison in trouble now? And at the minute, 6.4 is a manageable gap.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think Dean's just got to manage this gap, keep that pace up, not make any unforced errors, and just focus on his job. We look back, Nathan Harrison. Another Honda mounted rider. He went brilliantly in the first Superbike race with a sensational 4th position. Now he's also doing a good job on the smaller Supersport machine. James Hillier.
Up in the podium at the minute. It would be nice to see him on the podium again, wouldn't it? I mean, you know, Dakar earlier this year was incredibly tough for him. Then almost missing out on the TT, doing last minute deals and Bournemouth Kawasaki. Good enough to say, you know what, we can service that, let's go.
Michael braking. On his way down to Black Bridge. Now we're back on board. The rear-facing camera, the man that he is chasing, Dean Harrison.
Harrison absolutely howling. Look at that, the rhythm through these sections. Davey Todd, here's the gap, 5.595, so it's down by 9/10 of a second. Doesn't sound like a lot, but with, you know, a lap and a half still to go, more than a lap and a half, Dunlop has closed the gap just a little bit to Harrison. Here's Todd over the bridge, motocross style, look at that, makes it look so easy, doesn't it?
Yeah, look how close Josh Brooks is behind. Of course, he caught Josh halfway through lap 1, closed that 10-second gap.
And you can feel them behind you, like do you know they're there?
Yeah, you can feel someone in their draft directly behind you, especially right now. Don Herbertson would be feeling Rob Hodson as he drafts past on the way down to Black Bridge.
Tightly done. Harrison's late on the brakes at Parliament Square, but gets the Honda turned in beautifully. He looks comfortable. He looks comfortable, but he's got to keep this machine lit. Just lifts the front wheel up. Speed traps, though. Look at this. Harrison 171, Dunlop 175. 4 miles an hour, Cameron. You can ride it as hard as you like, but if the top speed is different, it's going to be a tough job.
Yeah, we saw how quick the Ducati was last year when Davey Todd was on board that machine. Michael was able to hold him off last year. Michael being Yamaha mounted in 2024, but now he's on the Italian Ducati.
5.5 as they come up to Ramsey hairpin. 4.0. Another 1.5 seconds has come off by Dunlop as we see Davey Todd coming through. He was 5.3 off that podium position. And here is Michael Dunlop, 4.0 back now. Absolutely stunning time on that sector. He's on it.
He certainly is. He's on it like Josh Brooks is on the tail of Davey Todd. He does not want to let him go.
How has Todd caught him so quickly and then he's able to keep up with him, Brooks, once Todd has passed?
Brooks is an extremely seasoned competitor, very quick British Championship rider, also a good Supersport rider on short circuits. He's probably doing it a little bit easy when he's getting the toe from Davey Todd.
Mike Brown on the brakes at the end of the Solby. Straight, go straight on!
Straight on! Oh my goodness! End of Solby straight, left the braking too late.
He's fine, that's the most important thing. He's fine enough, but too late on the brakes. The medics are over to check him straight away. Great response time. We've seen a few mistakes in those high-speed braking zones. There at the end of the Solby Straight, we saw Davey Todd run wide in Parliament Square. We saw Mitch Reese actually ended his race yesterday at the Ramsey hairpin. What is it about those slow-speed corners when everything else is so quick?
Well, I guess limited practice time this week. Also, not a lot of rubber on the road, less reference points. Riders just making small errors that can be quite costly.
Yeah, this was where Mitch Reese, we did a lap with Mitch, didn't we? And this was where he unfortunately ended his race in the Superbike on the braking zone out at Ramsey hairpin. You're on board with Rob Hodson now as he catches up with Connor Cummins.
Of course, we saw Rob Hodson pass Don Herbertson on the Ducati, and he's about to pass another Ducati up the inside into Mayhill as he slips past Connor Cummins.
That is such a great view of Mayhill. We've spoken, haven't we, about how some of these corners are blind. That's why you've got to know this course like the back of your hand. You can't see through the corners. You've got to know what the exit is so you can get on the throttle early. Harrison.
I'll have a look. There's not many flies on that visor because he's spending so much time with his head down behind that screen.
I just love seeing the focus, Cameron. You know, you blink, I guess, on the straights.
Yeah, there's not much time to blink. You're trying to navigate corners as fast as this with little to no runoff.
The rear shot's incredible as well. When you see the people at the side of the road, but just see how quickly you're eating up the road as well. The speeds up here are incredible. 4.0 is the gap at the moment. Back to Michael Dunlop from the hairpin. Going to have to see whether that's been made up any further as you see Dom Herbertson now trying to pass Connor Cummins. Herbertson alongside, look at this, both Ducati mounted, that'd be a tougher pass.
Yeah, well, V2 versus V2.
Still hasn't found a way through, and Dunlop, though, has found another half second. Dunlop, plus 3.5 at the bungalow.
Oh, who's that? Oh, no. Mike Evans. Disappointing, looks like he's out, just heading up to Stella Maris. The Triumph has called it a day.
Off the racing line at least and parked away. Good job, but disappointment in the body language. You can see it, can't you? Just, game over. Dean Harrison now will surely be getting messages from his pit boards that it's plus 3.5. Cameron Wenye, it was plus 6.4 at Glen Helen. 3 seconds have gone away in the last few sectors. You just don't want to see that on the pit board. He has to try and respond.
Yeah, but can he, Andrew? Like, look at the pace he's carried straight from the get-go. I don't think he's left anything on the table. He's tried to lead from the start. He's giving it his all. I don't think there's much more he can do.
He looks comfortable too, doesn't he? He hasn't made any mistakes that we've seen. He's riding the bike that he's familiar with on the limit.
You can see by his body language, Joe. He's forceful. He's riding hard. So he's coming out of the Craig. Look at that crowd, the rear-facing camera, and the speed building as he's heading downhill. 150, 160.
Brandish coming up next for him, then Hilbury. Cameron, he's got a lap to go. He's desperately trying to hang on to this 3.5 second lead. What can he do?
Well, the Honda works well through the corners. He'll be pushing everywhere. Can he make up any time in the technical sections? Look at this onboard camera. It's obvious he's leaving nothing on the table. Nudging 170 miles per hour on the way down through Hilbury.
We've got 1 lap to go then in the Monster Energy Supersport TT. It's Dunlop versus Harrison for this one. We are in the closing stages of the Monster Energy Supersport TT race number 1. You're on board with Dean Harrison. He is fighting to try and hang on to this win. He was P3 earlier on today in the Superbike race. He would love to stand on the top step of the podium. 2019, I think his last victory here was on the island, but he's been flying on the Honda. But Dunlop has got the gap down to 2.4. It's come down even further, Cameron. We need to see it going back the other way for Dean.
We do. Dean's crossed the line. He's got about 260 corners between him and that checkered flag. Can he hold off that charging bull?
And here he is, Michael Dunlop, tucked in down Glencrutchery Road. Crosses over the line. It was 2.4 at Cronknamona. It's 2.9. Harrison's gone back, so Harrison's taken half a second back off Dunlop. We're on for a final lap battle here.
We wondered if Harrison would respond, and Dean has. We watched Michael throw the Ducati over Ago's lead.
Davey Todd here with Josh Brooks tucked in right behind him. He's still there. A lap and a half after he passed him, he's still there.
The two Hondas are riding in tandem at the moment. He's hanging on behind. He can't seem to pass Davey Todd back, but he seems happy just to sit behind him.
Take advantage of the toe. Here comes Harrison. Oh, and they're cheering him on from the side of the road.
Oh, the fans, they know how close this race is. They know how seasoned both these competitors are. Both will be so hungry to win this first Supersport TT.
It's just two incredible races and a wonderful sidecar encounter in between as well. But having waited so long for the weather to clear, the fans are being treated to absolute thrillers today. Dunlop, look at this, the difference between lap 1 and lap 3 and the way that bike is turning into Gorsley, it's a different attitude, it's a different animal completely.
He's definitely much happier with the package. James Hillier on the way down to Crosby, one of the fastest corners on the course, taken flat out in 6th gear.
We've barely spoken about Hillier, have we? He's up there in a podium position. It's a brilliant result for him. He's not quite in touch with these front two, but still a great ride.
Listen to that CBR 600 scream as Dean just bangs it back up 1 gear to get the drive out of Sarah's Cottage, working his way up Greg Willie's Hill.
Nothing left, and still he took half a second. There was nothing left, but there was another half second left in that sector. Here comes Dunlop. What's it going to be? Oh, it's down to 0.8 of a second. Dunlop responds again. So Dunlop has turned the screws a little bit more. And we're under a second for victory here in the first Supersport race. It will be 7 Supersport victories in a row for Dunlop if he can do it. 3/4 of a lap to go as you look back from Davey Todd. Wow.
That is quite incredible. It's the closest it has been all race. The tide has turned. Dunlop is coming.
Absolutely incredible sector time by him through there. Harrison,
he may not know the gap as yet, not sure where Dean's pit boards are, but whether he can eke any more out of the CBR 600 in this last portion of the final lap.
Here comes Dunlop through the section, and he's absolutely on it, as he has been. 0.8 of a second. What do you have, Cam, on a pit board? I'm guessing the point is 0.8. You literally got +0. What's the communication to the rider?
That's it, Andrew. It's just a gap to the rider behind. On board, James Hillier for Garrow bottom. Oh, listen to that. Kawasaki bottom out. Belly on the floor.
That is some commitment through there. It really is. James Hind here on the Suzuki GSXR.
Of course, James finished 5th in this same race last year. Very fast competitor, not going quite as well in today's race.
Dean Harrison at Ballath Briggs, that's the onboard angle as you see it. Just look how physical this is. Remember, this is their second race today as well. They've been hanging off the side of a superbike, and now they're on the limit on a Supersport machine. Dunlop on the front wheel, on the pipe. It's a 1/10 of a second, but Dunlop is in the lead. So Dunlop has taken it from Harrison. He's a 1/10 up the road. Here's a look now over the jump from James Hillier as well, squashing the rear tyre, and it's a big jump for the classic liveried Kawasaki.
Back with the Hondas in tandem, Davey Todd with Padgett's. Again with Padgett's, he did ride from in 2023. He's back in this year just for Supersport and the Super Twin class. And from that rear-facing camera, looks like maybe he's finally starting to put a gap in.
Here's Hodgson on the Yamaha, Cummins then on Ducati, and it is Dominic Herbertson on the Ducati as well. 3 bikes running close together. What a treat for the fans down at the bottom of Bagaro on board now with Herbertson, tucked right in again.
Yeah, we've seen so many bikes on track together. It just shows how evenly matched these Supersport machines are.
Yeah, hard to break the toe, isn't it, when you get together in a pack. This man has been trying to break the toe of a bike that he can't even see. Dunlop further behind on the road, but they're locked together on the sector times. Dunlop did some serious damage at the start of this lap, didn't he? It just took a bit away from Dean after Dean had edged out by half a second.
From the standing start, it's that first sector where Dean Harrison is so strong, but that is where Michael got him back.
There's been a brilliant first sector for Michael Dunlop to get us down to within just an eighth of each other on this lap. Harrison this time is wide, tight at the hairpin. Went slightly deep there on lap number 1. It's perfect this time, and it needs to be perfect to try and hold on to a gap from this man, Michael Dunlop. Is the fight going to continue over the mountain as he cranks the Ducati over on the right hand side and opens it up on the run up to the hairpin? Oh, it's plus 3.4. Wow, he's done the same as he did in the first sector count. 3.5 seconds found on the run to Ramsey hairpin. Dunlop, what's he found?
Well, I'll tell you, he found something. I can only imagine how quick that lap time will be with the momentum he has.
It's an epic run, isn't it? Dunlop is absolutely flying. Plus 3.4, unfortunately, that's a big chunk. It might be game over. Hillier riding brilliantly. Look, 36 seconds off the back of Harrison, but 14 seconds up the road from top now.
Oh, he'll be excited about getting back on the podium if he can. James Hillier, it's been 5+ long years since he stood on that podium. Always a front runner.
Moving the rear of the bike around was the other way up to the hairpin. He'll be enjoying this, won't he, at this point? Because although he want to be in the fight for the win, if you've got your pit board saying you're in no man's land, it's a bit clear on this last lap. You can nurse it home a bit.
Oh, will he be enjoying, or will he be just talking to that Kawasaki saying, please, just get us home, just get me back on that TT podium?
Hang on in there. I want to climb the steps up in front of the crowd. 100 mile an hour through the right-hander. Look, this is the section leading up. Now we start to lose the trees and you get up into the bare areas as you come up over the mountain, which is where Harrison is now at Bungalow. Is there anything left? We think not. Harrison's been trying so hard. The gap was plus 3.4 over the mountain here. In theory, the Ducati with the torque as well. Cameron, this is a good place for that bike, isn't it?
Yeah, the booting big Ducati. It's out in the open now where it can stretch its legs. And just listen to that V-twin.
What is the gap now? Has it gone up or not? Dunlop coming through Bungo. 6.6, it's nearly doubled. He's had another 3 seconds off him in the run uphill, all the way uphill. It's just up right the way to the top of the mountain, and it's obviously the man and machine are completely in sync.
Failing bad luck. I think it looks like Michael Dunlop's to lose from here on in.
Hillier still, he's lost another second to the bikes in front, but he's still way up the road from Todd, and the crowd are leaning over the fence, fist pumping him as he's coming up the hill. What a brilliant feeling to get back in the top 3. Wonderful stuff. On board with him now.
James, as he pilots that Kawasaki over the top of the mountain, and it's all downhill from here.
Harrison comes through the right-hander. It's been a wonderful fight from him, a brilliant effort. He started so strongly on lap 1, but you can see at Cromtemona, the gap has gone up to Dunlop. Dunlop now will surely just be rounding the final couple of corners. It's been 30 years since Ducati took a win here, and Michael Dunlop's going to take his 30th victory at the TT on the Italian machine. 7 different manufacturers he's won for now, and this is 7 in a row in the Supersport category. Dunlop takes it from Harrison, and a brilliant P3 for James Hillier on the Kawasaki.
You've got a bus ticket to the podium when I spoke to you earlier. What a race, James. How do you feel?
There's so many people behind the scenes that have helped get me here and make this happen. Alan Gardner at OMG Racing, you know, although this isn't his bike, we're running out of his awning and truck and crew. It's just nice to pay back everyone for all their efforts and commitment to me.
You weren't 100% sure on the bike setup before going into the race, but now based on that, what are you feeling?
I think we're close, you know. I've done so many laps on one of those LX6s, so you know, I knew it was in the ballpark. There's probably a little bit more. I didn't have the legs to stay with Michael, but once I saw the pit board and the gap was comfortable, I just rode accordingly. And it was very windy up the top. I felt the bike was slow. Now I had a problem, but I think it's just the heavy wind was just slowing me up. So anyway, I can fight the Guinness later, I think, and I'll sleep well tonight and see what the rest of the week brings.
Dean, absolutely absolute fair play in that one. It was a close race, but a second position for you there. How do you feel?
No, honestly, I'm over the moon with that, to be fair, because I knew Michael how fast. Well, the Ducati's so fast through the speed traps, so I knew I had to go hard from the start and then just try and go a miss as fast as I could, because I knew that he'd come strong later on in the race. So no, it's nice to be battling at the front and be there or thereabouts. So no, good start to the week.
You're getting some of your best times on the Supersport. Is it looking strong for race 2, do you think?
No, that's all it's got. There's no, we can't improve what we have. This is all we have here. Obviously, that's the new generation bike where we're 6 miles an hour down through the track. And there's nothing. We're not going to find any more power through the week, so we'll just do the same again in race 2.
Congratulations, Michael Dunlop. First place on new machinery in the Supersport race. How was that?
Yeah, it was tough for start, but it was a bit tough. It's again like a laps we've struggled with, obviously new manufacturer. But it's great to, Ducati wanted somebody to get back on winning in ways, and I think they're actually saying there today is the 30th year, or not today obviously, but this is the 30th year since they've last won. That's now my 30th victory, so it's quite cool, like, you know what I mean, and obviously that puts another manufacturer under Metalli, and just hats off to the boys. I knew the boys at Quattro and Milwaukee and Cheshire Moulds were keen to be successful, so they put me faith in me and I just got stuck on with it.
And you look to be making a few suspension changes in pit lane. Were you getting a better feel throughout the race?
Yeah, it sort of goes to show how sort of screwed we are on not just setup, just lack of track time and complete new machinery, and all them things add up into one. It's just goes to show when we're making changes in the pits, it's never really what we're trying to achieve. Normally with this stage, everybody else has bikes they've ridden for years, so they don't have to do this. I'm having to do it in the pit. So fair play to the boys. It was a brainwave from one of the technicians to say, look lad, I know this is what we're struggling, or we have bits, we'll bring a bit of a job in with us, and we'll make changes if needs be. So that's what we've done.
So to think that this guy is still in his prime, there's got so much more still to come. Still in his prime, 16 years since he won his first race. That was on the Supersport, pretty special. You got to feel for Dean Harrison on the 600.
You do have to feel sorry for Dean Harrison on the 600. He got out of the block shot and he sort of had a good lead, and then they came into the pit stop, and Michael Dunlop, then adjustment changes on the front dampers there seemed to make all the difference. He could sort of reel that time in, and then from Ramsey really on that last lap, he just made the race his own.
Whatever happens for the rest of this TT race week, Steve, I think it's fair to say that podium for James Hillier will be up there as one of the moments of the week for lots of people here, fans and people in the paddock alive.
Hey, pretty special, coming over the mountain there on that lovely colour scheme, just like the old H1 ZXR 750, brought back some special memories.
Yeah, special moment for James Hillier, a really special moment for Michael Dunlop and his family, whose legacy is extended here on the Isle of Man. We'll be back with more racing tomorrow night. Bye for now.